This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports Chaco. We're here at Evolution Boxing Club and delighted to be joined once again by Willo Hayden. How are you, mate?
Not bad, not bad.
I was sort of saying there, it only feels like a month since we last spoke to you. It was actually the middle of August. We were last speaking to you. You've been down, how many weeks have you been down here training down Evolution?
I'd say about 7 weeks now. 7 weeks, yeah.
And the first time we'd sort of spoke, it was your first sort of week down, I guess. It's
First session down here it was.
First
time up in Carrick it was, yeah.
and I guess you probably nearly feel like a local now. You're probably down here that much.
I do, yeah. Yeah, feel at home up here, and I'm a changed fighter now with the work I'm doing with Ian and stuff, and then the rounds I got in with Anto and all, I'm after learning so much from it.
I'm sure it's like I've obviously just interviewed Rudy there as well. Now you're in a camp, but obviously the world champion. Does that make obviously your trip up from Dublin to Carrick that much more easier now, knowing that who you obviously get to train with? And you've obviously sparred with and everything else, but they now say I'm training with a coach that's a world champion. Does that sort of add more gloss and more reason as the long trips up the road?
Yeah, it just proves kind of like how good of a coach Ian is. Do you know what I mean? Like now he has his world champion and stuff, but yeah, it's massive inspiration. Like big time.
You met just over a year ago. Obviously, Ando was defending the British title when you were making your debut, and you sort of got closer since. Obviously, Ando's now come involved. Simon's as managers as well as your own, so it's sort of keeping Irish fighters that are signed with Frank and signed with Simon all together. Yeah. So they can just put one camera up and look after you all.
Yeah, I know.
But I know you were over at obviously at the fight as well. People are calling you Knight Rider since. What's that all about? Is it just that you dress in black? What was it? I've seen a couple of ones calling you Knight Rider.
I got called Knight Rider, I got called Terminator, just me black leather jacket.
You're getting it in all angles.
I know.
But I guess that's the nature of the sport. If people are having a memory of you, ones that are particularly friends with Anto, they're now obviously becoming friendly with you and saying that even though you weren't fighting, you were over to support your stablemate. Yeah. Like, I think your dad actually said as well, it's been the most excited you've been since you were a 6-year-old opening Christmas presents.
Yeah, no, it was. Honestly, I was watching the videos back and all, I've never even heard myself shouting the way I was for Anto's fight. My nerves are more gone for his fight than it would have been for my own.
Does that sort of give you inspiration now? I know in some ways where you've been there, you've experienced it, you've seen a stablemate do it, you probably are well familiar with obviously what Anto's been through as a professional as well. He's had probably more down days than up with boxing. Yeah. But they learn off him coming into the back end of his career. Can you imagine obviously what that's going to do for you? I know, I've seen you train away here a few times and seeing wee things added to your game. Can you not just wait to get back out to now show what you can do?
Yeah, after seeing Anto's fight and stuff, I was ready to fight on that night, you know what I mean? I was buzzing to go. So I'm delighted now I have my own night and stuff.
And it makes, that's what, 6 or 7 weeks you've been up. So it's probably going to be your longest camp, between sort of fights to get yourself back in there. I believe it's going to be your first step up to 6. Well, you fought at 6 rounds before.
For my first 2 fights were 6 rounds and then last 2 were 4. So I'll be 100% for this. Have a good base of fitness because I was training with Anto kind of through his whole camp. Took a week off and then we're back at it.
I guess getting back to 6 rounds again is probably the best way to probably learn with Ian as well. More rounds gives you more to sort of practice on. I guess you don't want to give too much away for any potential opponents and stuff like that, but what have you sort of been working on? Is it sort of just fine-tuning wee bits that he can see you can do differently? What have you been sort of trying to fine-tune?
I feel like with me previous fights, I was kind of nearly fighting like an amateur for more rounds. But I feel much more set now as a pro, much more relaxed and all. The caginess and stuff is gone out me. But I can't wait to implement everything that I've learned up here.
Is it sort of because I know you've obviously had your first stoppage one, and it's sort of, you're only 20 years of age as well, so it's sort of like trying to take the teenage years sort of, Evie, where you're excitable, you're eccentric, and trying to probably get you to relax and slow down, and probably rather than throwing 5 punches, throw 1 punch is going to have the same effect.
Yeah, it's the things I'm learning now are not every shot needs to be hard because that's where you risk hurting your hands if you catch someone in the elbow. That's what happened to me last fight. First shot, I caught him on the elbow and backhand was gone then for the whole fight. So I'm gonna be careful picking me shots, and then like if we see the opening, then I'll make it count. Like, you know what I mean?
And you've boxed in Telford before, I believe. I think was your last fight in Telford?
My last fight was in Telford in the International Centre.
So you're obviously going to the same venue again, and we're sort of just talking there about the card. Obviously, you have David Avanesian, obviously defending his European belt. You have Anthony Yard in the card. It looks like it's going to be a really, really decent card as well.
Big time, yeah. Yeah, I'll have to stay for them fights.
You definitely will. I guess it's probably it's more things to learn now. I guess the more fights you see, rather than watch them on YouTube, the more fights you watch in person. Probably other wee things to learn off from fighters. It's the level you want to get to.
Yeah, there is, yeah. But watching boys at that level, like, there is little things that you can take out of it and then bring it into your own boxing, like.
And moving back to six now, is it sort of getting to the stage where you're sort of maybe looking at, I know when we spoke last time, you're looking at the National Stadium, potentially down the line. When you're moving up to six again now, is this the sort of thought process behind maybe potentially fighting for your first title?
This will be my fifth fight now, you know what I mean? So, like, I'm still at a learning stage. But, like, I leave that up to management and stuff, you know what I mean? And stuff, you'll have to have a team discussion over that, like.
And the same night that you're fighting in Telford, obviously we're getting boxing back in the National Stadium for the first time. I'm sure you'll be keeping an eye on that as well to make sure everything passes right in the National Stadium, because I say it's your dream. You want to fight there as well as a pro, but you'll be sort of keeping one eye there. Probably not on the same day as you fight, but maybe keeping an eye on fighters down there to make sure that the card goes and it goes well, so that there's more of a hunger for more fight cards to happen.
Yeah, I'd love a little homecoming now in the stadium down the line.
Definitely makes it easier, I guess, rather than you trying to expect people to buy tickets to go to England for fights or elsewhere. It makes it easier for you, and you can build more your fan base.
I'm being blessed now that I have a good little fan base that have followed me over and stuff. But I'd love to now make it easy for people. Get the whole Crumlin all behind me to go around to the stadium, like, be top of the range.
I guess it's them wee things. It's them wee probably things and motivation to help you in camp when days get tough, where you start to dream and the realisation sort of kicks into what do you want to do. You start dreaming of dream venues. There's a potential, obviously, Katie Taylor fighting in Croke Park next year. Who knows? You could be on the undercard of that somewhere. Exactly, you just don't know what's going to happen from one minute to the next.
Yeah, you can't predict what's going to happen. You know what I mean? You just have to take everything as it comes, like.
And are you sort of still here in Evolution Monday to Friday and then sort of back home to Dublin at the weekends, or as you get closer to the fight, will you sort of maybe stay up here for the full camp?
No. I'll go back to Dublin for the weekend. Like, I need a rest day each week anyway, so one of them days is just going to be rest. The other day I can do my own thing, and then when I'm up here, it's flat out, like, solid work, like.
Definitely. Well, obviously I know it's 6 weeks to go. Obviously they obviously you're back in the ring.
6 weeks on Saturday. Yeah.
Six weeks tomorrow. I guess 6 weeks today you'll be making weight and you'll be getting a good burger in you. Yeah,
like, my weight's, like, I could make weight tomorrow, to be honest with you. Like, like, I'm down on my weight now, so I'll be well fueled up for training and all. Weight's not an issue. I'm just thinking of progress now, like, learning.
Is it still the thought you're going to stay at lightweight, or is it maybe potentially you can maybe drop down to super featherweight? Is that maybe a wee bit too far? I think your last fight you're 133.
I don't think featherweight ever happened. Like,
super feather. Super
feather. Yeah, I'm only gonna get bigger. You know what I mean? So lightweight, I think I'll grow into a solid lightweight. You know what I mean?
Probably like the McKenna brothers, they sort of started lower in the weights, and now I think, is it Aaron's up to middleweight? They just keep growing. They're like,
you don't know what's going to happen. Like, look at Canelo and all the weights he went up to. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, listen, thanks very much for catching up with us again, and we'll look forward to seeing you back in action in 6 weeks' time.
Thanks a million, Stephen.